All right, what's up, everybody? Hey, listen, it's another episode of Mental Monday. I'm so glad you were able to join in. I got a real special guest today. He's my brother, a friend that I've been able to connect with since I've been here in Columbus. He is a trainer. He is a All-American football player out of Capital University, owner of uh, Hope Fitness Academy, and also had a stint at playing professional ball. And we just great to have him and happy to have him here. None other than Derick Alexander. What's up, Coach? How you doing, bro?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Blessed to
I'm
be here.
good, man.
I love what you're
Yeah.
doing, man.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
get it.
Appreciate it. Listen, man, I'm telling you, you were one. It's two dudes, man. It's two dudes that I always look at as trainers. You and Mike, grab that, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate you guys. Just example how again it's more than sports. It's more than training. I've
yeah,
seen you both do, especially yourself and specifically Mike, man. Y'all have done a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when I see y'all working in the community, that helped me work in the community, taking the kids somewhere that I gotta get on that too. Because again, it's about building them relationships, man.
definitely.
So I want to
Definitely.
appreciate you at the beginning of this show, man, and just say thank you for your example, bro. And I'm glad to know you, glad to meet you, man.
It means a
And
lot, bro. Nah, man, Mike does a great job. I'm really proud of my nephew, man. Just to see his growth. I told him when he first got going, like, man, sometimes God will allow us to go through some things and maybe not make one path that we thought that was our path, but he'll create a whole
mm,
new path for you, man. So the things
yeah,
he's doing in the community is amazing. His grind is next level. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I love his growth.
for sure, for sure. And it's always good to know, man, the things you learned in sports coming up from your coaches, from your teammates, people that you've allowed, that God has allowed us to come in contact with, you take those same things and apply them to life.
Yeah,
So, although, yeah, we had our time playing the sport, the football, whatever, it's so good to see sometimes afterwards, man, like your life is just so much better and so much flourishing, like than you was even doing when you played because you impacting lives.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, man.
I always say if I would have got drafted or played a long time in the NFL, how many lives would I change compared to where just I'm at now? So it's definitely
Yeah.
a blessing to be able to see these kids flourish and honestly get college degrees. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
first and foremost, man. To see kids graduate college and start to change the dynamic of their life and the family. So
for
it's a big
sure.
deal.
For sure. So let's get into it, man. Like, tell us, I've been to your gym. Of course, my son works with you.
Yes, sir.
Um, like, tell us a little bit about Hope Fit, man.
Man, so Hope Fitness is it's a family. You know what I mean? I think we're way more than a gym. When we started this thing in 2010, I was training kids for free at parks. And
Hmm.
and the whole premise was to get kids off the street. So any kid you see, they're like, hey, what you doing today? Hey, come on, man. I mean, I see you at Briggs High School at noon. You know what I mean? Like, so get it
Yeah,
in. So kind of
yeah,
start from that point, man, and just making kids, giving them a different outlet of the street gangs and the drug life that easily pulls them in. And here's our family over here that does the athletic side. So it
yeah,
started with that, and then kind of just grew and kept going from there.
for sure. So as y'all can see, you can find any type of hidden talent, any type of hidden passion to affect somebody, y'all. And here we are using the vehicle of athletics to change lives, to get people off the streets. Um, I know you've gotten a lot of like roster, man. You got some guys that you put in an NFL or help in that journey, man. You want to
Yeah,
talk about that D1, multiple Division 1 players. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So,
yeah. We're
you know,
blessed. We're blessed. Yeah,
how is that? How has that been, man?
man, it's been a journey, right? Like, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, but it's crazy because some of the most talented kids I've ever trained are the ones that didn't make it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, it's really that commitment and that grind and trusting the process. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to see a guy like Charles Holland, get picked up first. He was our first one to get picked up by the Bengals in minicamp, and that was our first taste of like a guy we had since he was a kid make the
yeah,
NFL. And then the very next year was Malik Harrison, and that was a big deal, man. So going from a house university to being a third round draft pick and being with him on that day, right next to him, was a big accomplishment. And then since then it's been Derek Forrest to Brian Asamoah to Brendan Knox to Baron Browning. You know what I mean? And we just keep it going.
Yeah. So as we know, you know what I'm saying? That's a great segue. We just came off the draft this weekend.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And I must tell you, man, it was very interesting. Everybody know the whole situation about Shador Sanders. Um, God bless that brother, man, for just how he took it on the scrutiny, the talking about him and everything, what people said he could do, what people said he couldn't do, you know, it's just funny to just know that once you get there is all that matters once you get there and how you perform.
yeah,
But you know, how as again someone that has experience in training athletes of that caliber, man, like what's going on in the mind during draft day, whether free agency, first or second round pick, late pick, like what's
yeah.
going on in the mindset, man?
Man, like when I say those days are like stressful, it is crazy. So that I truly applaud that young man
Hmm.
for what he had to go through and endure those last 3 days. You know what I mean? To finally get his name called fifth round. But I remember being with Malik, man, and we're having a draft party. And I told him like, hey, look, don't put too much on it. Don't invite everybody, and you know what I mean. Like just keep it small. I looked up, there's 80 people in this house. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
geez, you know what I mean. As we
Yeah.
sitting there, and the second round go by, and then the middle of the third round, you know what I'm saying. You get to the end of the third round, and he's nervous, he's pacing, his leg is shaking, and he gets that call finally, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you just breathe, the tears start to flow, and that everything he's been doing to staying focused with his classroom, to staying focused in his body, to staying focused with even his mental. You know what I mean?
For
It's
sure.
finally coming true. You know what I mean? Like it's coming to pass. So it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, man. And again, just being in that situation. And shout out to Malik Harrison. I'm gonna give him a shout out. He used to play for my team, Baltimore Ravens,
Yeah.
who's now traded to the scum of the AFC North. It's like I'm just playing. But nah, traded to our division rivals, the
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers. So shout out to him. God bless him and his continuous journey,
Yeah.
man. But yeah,
Another I was
just
talking about too was Derek though. So like it's
mhm,
crazy almost seeing like the different levels, right? So like Malik's was like we knew Malik was going to get drafted second and third round. You know what I
mhm.
mean?
Yeah,
Derek Forrest, on the other hand, he had a free agent
yeah,
draft grade.
yeah,
His day was
yeah.
a little bit more different. We're like we won, we're hoping he gets drafted, but we're looking for the best opportunity. And for him to get that call fifth round, it was honestly, man, that was a beautiful situation. Like
Hmm.
not knowing if you'll get drafted or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like for the guys that know you're going to get your name called is one thing. For a guy who has no idea if it's going to come or not,
yeah,
to get that call. You know what I mean? Around your family and friends, man, I was a blessing. That was amazing.
yeah, yeah. So what do you think? What do you think the difference between the two? Like, you have a caliber guy like a Malik Harrison, and then you have a guy like Derek Forrest that goes a little later. He played Cincinnati, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So how do you compare just the different mentalities? Because in my mind, it sometimes like tend to think that the guy that's the underdog, like he gonna work and grind for it.
Definitely.
So what were the two mentalities between the two individuals?
I mean, they both always worked hard. With Malik, it was him being 6'2", 6'3". It's a
Yeah,
little bit different, right? It's God given size, and
for
what I mean.
sure.
He's super talented. He was a hooper. You know what I
Yeah,
mean. Everybody knows a crazy dunker, so he's always been just highly gifted.
yeah,
Derek had to work for it though. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
so Malik kind of came a little easier in
Hmm.
how his process was. With Derek, Derek didn't get his offer to UC until December. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like it was a late offer. So, he was the underdog mentality. I think he keeps that same mind frame time and time again, and that's why he's been successful.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, man. And again, man, them dudes are still thriving in the NFL, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is Malik on his like
Year
fifth
six.
year?
Year
Year
six.
six. And
Yeah.
Derek is on
Year
he's
five.
same year five,
Five.
man.
Yep.
So whatever, for anybody out there that's looking to getting in any type of league or just in general, just trying to do something great, consistency and determination and believing yourself is key, man. So fast forward back to the gym, man. So you are blessed. God has allowed you to be able to captivate the minds of young athletes, both male and female, and
Definitely.
not just in football. You know what I'm saying?
Thank
You
you. I
got
appreciate that.
baseball.
Yeah.
You got a couple basketball players. And I think you even had like some soccer players
Yeah.
that you had come through, and probably some more sports.
Yeah.
So that daily grind from that smaller kid to that higher um that higher caliber kid. What is that like taking them through that training? Because I've seen, bro. I've been there. I've seen
Yeah.
y'all train.
Yeah. I think we focus so much more on the mental, man.
Hmm.
I think like, there are a lot of great trainers, you know what I mean? And I always say like, man, you can go to a lot of trainers that can give you some things for your body. But we want
Hmm.
to do both. You want to be able to train your mind and your body because, sports are one thing, but something you said earlier was a vehicle, right? Like
Yeah,
like the athletics are a vehicle to help you prepare yourself for life.
for sure.
So as we're using this vehicle, when life gets tough, right? When life gets hard and it gets you ups and downs, the things we work on that may not be easy, pushing the
Hmm.
plates, pushing the sleds, and all the reps we do, it's gonna prepare you for that hard time when you want to give up, you want to throw in the
Yes, sir.
towel, you want to quit. But that moment though, you look back and say, "Man, I'm built for this though." You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah.
I love that, man. And so what would you consider, we have training, we have, different philosophies. What would you say, like, just your coaching philosophy towards these athletes are?
I would say for me, it'll be A, speed, and then B, to be mentally tougher than everybody else. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like as a coach, you're gonna put players do certain things, but when you have a guy or a girl that's really focused and can lock in and then always give 100% effort, that goes a long way. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So you might have a guy that's super talented, but
Hmm.
he don't work hard, and you got a kid that got some talent but works really hard. 9 times out of 10, you want to look out for this kid that works hard.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's
But,
just like finishing the drill. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Actually
yeah,
being engaged and listening,
yep,
giving your
exactly.
100% effort, even if it's, a correct movement or still learning it, man.
Yeah,
So, along with that, Derek, just how do you handle, and this is something that I'm always mindful of. So I've been coaching for over 12 years.
mm,
I just started getting into, in my opinion, just started getting into the training space about 5 years ago.
okay,
And I'm noticing there's such a difference of generation. Like the
yeah,
way they handle stuff,
yeah,
the way they process things. Um, if you look at it with the NIL college kids, which I think is great that
yeah,
they're being able to get paid from their hard work. Yet there's a term that I learned in school called a paradox of progress.
okay,
So yeah, there's things that's happening that's progressing things and progressing, you know, the processes and companies and business world, athletic world, but yet we forget what that can bring.
yeah,
So although yeah, I'm getting paid, I'm getting millions of dollars. Take your guy from Tennessee that he's transferred to UCLA now. You
yeah,
know, I don't know that situation, but obviously he wanted to get a larger sum of money, which he wound up, getting kicked off the team. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, getting to UCLA and not getting as much. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, how do we allow ourselves to properly allow these athletes to understand, for one, who they are, what they have, and how to take care of it.
yeah. I think well, we got to put the first thing first, right? Like so, instilling some true faith in
Mm,
these kids. You know what I mean? And we're a faith based business, so
yes,
we
sir.
play with our players. We talk to them about Christ and talk to them about understanding what we're here for. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're here for the betterment of God's people. So the financials going to come, but allow it to come in the right time. So don't overlook the finances because that's going to be there. Because if you get it when we're not ready for it, you're going to lose
Yeah,
it anyway. You know what
yeah,
I mean? So
yeah.
make sure that we're focusing on you know what's first. Pick me up.
No, you still on? You still on?
Okay, cool. Okay, I want
Yeah,
to say my
yeah,
daughter done called and jacked me all up.
yeah. It's all
Okay,
good. You still on?
I lost you. Here we go. All right, but yeah, so I think that's the focus. You hear me?
Yeah, it's all
Okay,
good.
cool.
We edit that part out. It's
Yeah.
all good.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So no, I think the focus is, man, like when they have a baseline of what's going on and truly
Mm-hmm.
understanding how everything flows and works with taxes, with knowing how to operate in the space of finances, and knowing
Mm-hmm.
that the first thing is first, man. Like the goal is here. This little
Mm-hmm.
stuff we get now is that's cool, but the goal is what I mean to prosper with this money. So if
Yeah.
don't overthink it, don't overdo it. Stay focused, stay humble. You know what I
For
mean?
sure, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Now, like, of course, you getting in this line of work, as I said earlier, like, you were one of the athletes that I heard about as an athlete, all American, you know, did big things, man. Like, what was your story? Like, what made you decide to play the sport of football or go into sports, period?
My mom was a huge part of my life when it comes to athletics. I had a dad that played sports, but my mom made sure that I was at practice. And I remember my second year playing football, she was my defensive coordinator. You know what I mean? And she made sure
What?
I was in the backyard hitting stuff pillows, and you know what I
Yeah,
mean. Yeah, she wasn't no joke, man. So
yeah.
she kind of like pushed the emphasis of we're gonna be tough, and
Yeah.
it just lasted. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Shout out to the moms. Shout outs to the dads too.
yeah,
But
yeah.
definitely shout out to the moms, man, that understand it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like a lot of athletes, some realize, like you said earlier, the talented guys and the less talented guys, wherever you find yourself in that, in that column, you can really change your life, man, with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can get to a point where it's kind of sad. Even with a high school that I work at, and the team that I coach for, it's like, man, you got some guys, man,
Yeah.
big guys, but don't have work ethic,
Yeah.
potential guys that don't have work ethic.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say to the athlete that's in that position where, like, they got the talent, but the talent might not be enough,
No,
you
for
know?
sure. What I'll say is, honest, what I've said, because I've been in this thing a long time, and I've
Mhm,
seen a lot of talented kids, man. What I always say is, don't be selfish. You know what I mean, and think about just you,
mhm,
because I remember being a kid and everybody telling me how good I was and how great I was going to be, but I was selfish with my work ethic. I was
mhm.
selfish with my time to put the money in. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
when I look back now, the kids behind me that I trained would be better off if I would have succeeded where I was supposed to succeed. You know what I mean? So in their moment, we're not thinking long term for the ones coming behind you. Your sons, your nephews, whoever else. You're thinking about self. So don't be selfish because you may have somebody that might need that same connection if you do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure, for
One
sure.
question I was asked, I remember by the scout for the Rams when I was coming out, and he was like, "Do you have anybody in the NFL from your family?" And I'm
Mhm.
like, "No, I don't." You know what I mean? I'm like, "But how important is that question?" He said, "Well, that's how I got my job." I said, "Okay, well, that means
Yeah,
that whoever came before you wasn't selfish."
for
You know what I mean?
sure,
And he put
for
that work
sure.
in to make sure that you would be successful. Same with
Yeah.
Dion, with his
Hmm.
sons, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I would definitely tell these kids, man. I know you don't want to work, but yeah, people that may need you one day. So don't be selfish though.
Yeah, yeah. And the hard work, that's one of the byproducts of it, man. And
Yeah,
you're able to leave a legacy, like going to the Bible for a little bit. Like, it says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children, his
that's
children's
good.
children. You know what I'm
Yep,
saying? So
yep,
I feel like there's so much. openness and so many components when it comes to, of course, we talking about sports right now,
Yeah,
but when it comes to something that you just commit to, you know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it can be my Christian walk committing to Christ, like I've seen you guys talk in the gym and pray over
yeah,
these young men. It could be my commitment to my academics, my commitment to my talent. But
yeah,
the fact is, when you realize what you have, man,
yeah,
and like not just what you have, but you good at what you do with what you
yeah,
have, man, like sky is the limit, man, and it becomes a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? So that's why there's it's very important, to get individuals in your life. When we talk about an environment, um, it's not just catered to where you are. It's also catered to who's in your life, who's speaking to you, who's speaking negatively, who's speaking positively.
yeah,
That's why I'm really, really big. Again, hope this don't, I hope this
yeah,
doesn't take offense to anybody, but that's why I'm big on dads being in their kids' life, man.
yeah,
Because, or again, in the situation of a single mom, there that one person or that village is in that child's life, that athlete's life. Because with that, man, it's like you said, your mom was your D coordinator, bro. Bro,
yeah,
I'm sure you came up thinking, bro, I can do anything. Don't nothing scare me. Like
yeah.
you
Right,
ain't you
right,
ain't seen I ain't seen nothing that I ain't never seen before.
right,
You know what I'm saying? So
right. I'm gonna take
yes,
that one
that's
step further too.
that's
What
good
you
stuff.
said though, like
Hmm.
not only is about the fathers though, but also about the village. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you gotta have good people in your village that's gonna speak
yeah,
life and death in the
yeah,
power of the tongue. So
yes, sir.
whether it's your son, you don't want somebody in your son's life that's gonna speak death into his life. You want
Yeah.
somebody in your son's life that's gonna tell him, hey, you can do it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You can keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah,
You can get that D1 offer. You know what I mean?
for
Like you
sure.
got it in you, and he did.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So
Right, yeah.
definitely surround yourself with a good village, man, and iron sharpens iron. So the people you want to surround yourself with, everybody who's want to do the same thing. Because one time you have anybody off, man, those the whole thing goes sometimes. So
For sure, for sure, for sure. Man, listen, man, it's been great having you on. I got one last question for you, bro.
talk to me.
So again, this is a Mental Monday podcast. You know what I'm saying? What would you tell now that you've been through the things that you've gone through from a athlete's perspective up to a coach? What's one thing that you would want to share with an athlete? And again, I know you do this every time, but what that person that's really needs to hear your message, what are you sharing with them?
um, that it's funny you said that. I got something dropping tomorrow. A speech I gave, and
Go.
a lot of kids they heard the scripture. I think it's used widely around the world, but I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I think that's a
Yeah,
big one, mainly because we gotta also speak over ourselves and
yeah,
understand mentally that anything you put your mind to, you can do anything.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? God does not want us to come on this earth and just be meek people and
yeah,
and
man.
not be great.
Yeah,
So you put your mind to it and you gotta receive that I can do all things through Christ that gives me strength.
for
So
sure.
when we're tired, when we don't feel like doing it, you can do it. When you don't think you can get straight A's, you can get straight A's. You don't think
Yeah,
that what I mean, you can play, you can play. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
yep,
just keep putting the work in, and faith without works is dead, man. So I'm gonna leave with that.
yeah,
And
bro.
you have the faith. If you say I can do all things, right? You have that faith. Now you gotta do what? Put the work behind your faith.
Yeah, I
You
put
know what
some
I
work
mean? So then
behind
we'll
that
finish it
faith.
off. Put the work behind it. That's gonna be great.
Yes, sir, man. Well, my brother, I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I know I'm be seeing you around, but
You
thank
already
you
know.
so much, bro, for giving me a little bit of your time, man. And bless your week, man. Bless your gym and those kids that you continue to touch, man. Shout out to Coach Debo, Spook, who I'm missing at
Cal.
Charles Gym. Yeah, Cat, all them, man. Like
Yeah.
they some good dudes.
Yeah.
Let
Thank
the
you.
people know your all your social medias real quick
Yeah.
where they
So
can follow
it's
you.
Hope Fit underscore for Twitter, for Instagram, for everything. You know what I mean? Just follow Hope Fit underscore. So that's
Yes,
us.
sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. My brother, real good dude. Hey, y'all, thank y'all for joining us. Hey, I told you we won't be here long. We just want to get the nuggets in and hopefully see y'all next time. All right.
All right, stay blessed, bro.
Yes, sir.